So since the late 2000s and maybe even the early 2010s, we haven't really had a great What The sneaker. I think the last really solid What The was maybe a pair of LeBrons, maybe the LeBron 11s. But I remember a time when Nike was dropping shoes like the What The Nike Dunks, which is one of the best What The sneakers ever made. And it really just seems like Nike and Jordan Brand just want to be giving us top 3s and top 4s, which aren't really What The sneakers. But it seems like times are changing and we're finally gonna get another true What The sneaker. I'm trying really hard not to get emotional because it's such a beautiful moment. What's up everybody, I'm Seth Fowler and today I'm reviewing the upcoming Air Jordan 5 What The. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't yet and you want to see more content just like this. And also make sure to give me a follow on Instagram and on Twitter at @RealSethFowler. But getting into the video, I realized that younger sneakerheads might not understand why this is such a monumental moment and why this shoe, which kind of looks like ketchup and mustard, is such an exciting sneaker. And that's because, at least for me, this shoe is sort of a throwback or a nostalgia trip to 10 years ago when sneaker collecting looked very, very different. Even though this shoe isn't a retro, it feels like one. It feels like a shoe that could have come out in 2007 and it would have been one of the most hyped up sneakers of the decade. It kind of feels like a sequel to a great movie that you just never thought was going to get a sequel. And in my opinion, it lives up to the hype. The Air Jordan 5 What The has a release date of November 7th, 2020 for a retail price of $220. And while I personally love this shoe, I have no idea how the public's gonna feel about this sneaker, especially since a lot of people who are in sneaker culture today weren't even around for when this shoe would have been as popular as it could have been. I really have no idea how many pairs of this shoe have been made or how limited it's actually going to be. I am pretty sure that this shoe will probably sell out, but I don't know what the resale is gonna be like. Is it gonna be a shoe that's gonna resell for maybe like $100 over retail, or is it going to be a shoe that goes for $1,000? I have no clue. And I think what's actually going to determine the demand for this sneaker is two things. The first is how limited this shoe is actually going to be, and the second is how much people actually want to buy this sneaker and wear this sneaker. And that's honestly where things get interesting, because while the shoe has a lot of history, and while I love this shoe because of what it is, it's not the most wearable sneaker in the world. Really quick though, before we get any farther into the video, I feel like I should explain what a What The sneaker actually is for those of you that might not know. What The is a term coined by Nike to describe a sneaker made up of a combination of different colorways from that silhouette. Usually a What The sneaker is a multicolor shoe which each side of the pair differs from one another and it incorporates different panels from different popular colorways. And in a lot of cases, and definitely in this case, a What The sneaker is very out there and very eye-catching. So the reason I'm so much more excited about this What The colorway of the Air Jordan 5 over the top 3 colorway that came out a couple months ago is that this shoe actually incorporates very specific details from very popular colorways. And not only that, but this colorway also matches up at least 8 different very limited and very popular Air Jordan 5 colorways. No matter where you look on either one of these two shoes, you're going to find really interesting details, a callback to a classic Air Jordan 5 colorway. And that's why I love this, because this shoe is wild and it's almost living history. But why don't we jump right into the What The Air Jordan 5s and find out what colorways and what materials actually make up this pair. I actually don't know where to start. Why don't we start things off on the right side of the pair with the shoe that most closely resembles the Tokyo Air Jordan 5s. The Tokyo 5s were a shoe that released exclusively in Japan about a decade ago to commemorate the opening of the Tokyo Jumpman store. And for a lot of people, honestly, even including myself, this shoe is an absolute grail, not only because of how wild it looks and the color that they used, but because of the history behind this shoe. And so as you can tell, the Tokyo 5s are really what inspire a majority of the upper of the right side of the pair. The right shoe comes in this really buttery nubuck or suede material that also comes in this bright yellow color. Towards the heel of the shoe on the lateral side, you've got this black embroidered 23 detail, and yes, it is actually a 23 if you look at the negative space between the embroidery. And that detail, as you may have just seen, or as you probably could have guessed, is from the Tokyo 5s. As you move up on the right side of the pair, you've got these flat black laces, and they actually weave through these gray panels, which are also from the Tokyo 5s. Underneath the laces, the bottom half of the tongue seems to be still from the Tokyo 5s, however, the top half of the tongue, very interestingly, seems to be from the Olive 5s. The top of the tongue comes in primarily 3M with an orange embroidered Jumpman in the center, and then on the back of the tongue you've also got some more of that orange from the Olive 5s. And then moving inside the right side of the pair, you've got a sock liner, which interestingly enough matches very well with the olive sock liner on the back of the tongue, but actually comes from the Laser 5s. This sock liner pattern is so interesting because you've got images of other Jordans, like you've got the Jordan 11s, you've got the Jordan 16s, the Jordan 6s, all sorts of different shoes that are also featured on the Laser 5s. And then rounding off the inside of the shoe, you've got a surprisingly simple insole that comes in black with the white Jumpman printed on the heel. As for sizing and fit, the What the Air Jordan 5s do seem to fit just like every other pair of Air Jordan 5s, and I think that's true to size. If you've owned pairs of 5s before, I would just say go with your standard Air Jordan 5 size. However, if you haven't, I would probably suggest going true to size. And then moving around to the back of the right side of the pair, and I guess to be fair, the back of both sides of the pair, you've got a black embroidered Jumpman on the heel. Continuing down on the right side of the pair, you've got another one of my favorite details, and that's the Bel Air Air Jordan 5 midsole and outsole tooling. The colorway of the midsole tooling seems to be taken directly from the original Bel Air 5s, and what's interesting about that pair is that they actually have alternating colored shark teeth, and they actually stay true to that on this pair. So the right side of the pair has blue shark teeth, and the left side of the pair has pink shark teeth, except of course you only have the midsole tooling from the Bel Air 5s on the right side of this pair, so you only get the blue shark teeth. The outsole of the right side comes in icy blue with neon green accents on the midfoot and on the toe. But now moving over to the other side of the pair, this really feels like a double sneaker review, which it kind of is actually. So the upper of the left side of the pair comes in this very hairy bright red suede, which is actually taken directly from the Raging Bull 5s. This red suede is probably my favorite material usage on the entire shoe. I know I love the yellow on the other side of the pair, but I think the red suede just feels so much more premium. Towards the back of the left shoe, you've actually got this bright yellow detail, which is taken directly from the Shanghai 5s. And what's interesting is that the Raging Bull 5s don't have a little emblem there like the Tokyo 5s do, and I guess they thought that maybe the back of the shoe was kind of plain, so they wanted to throw in a detail from a different shoe, and they chose the Shanghai 5s golden detail. I'm not mad at it though, and I think it's a nice touch and a subtle touch because there's no other Shanghai 5 details on the entire sneaker. And then moving up on the shoe, just like on the other side of the pair, you've got these flat black laces. And what's interesting is that they only give you one set of laces in the box. You'd think with the What the sneaker you get a couple different colors, but I guess it's the one area of the shoe that's somewhat subdued and somewhat quiet, and so they wanted to keep it a little bit simpler so that the rest of the shoe could shine, I guess. Moving up in the shoe, you've got a 3M tongue with a bright neon green Jumpman as well as a neon green sock liner, which seems to be taken from the K54s. I'm not 100% sure if the tongue is taken from the K54s or if it's taken from the Lima Beans, but either way, it's probably from one of them. The obviously 90s inspired sock liner on the left side of the pair is taken from the Bel Air 5s. And then like on the right shoe, the insole of this sneaker is also kind of boring and just comes in black. And then finally finishing off the pair, the midsole and the outsole tooling is taken from the K54s and features black, silver, and neon green. I'm actually sort of a fan of the way that the outsole color alternates. I didn't think that I would be, but I think it looks really great when you have the shoes in hand. In my opinion, the What the Air Jordan 5s are an incredibly interesting sneaker. For someone like me who's a sneakerhead and avid sneaker collector who cares about the history of these shoes, I love them. I think they're incredible. However, I think a vast majority of people don't really care about the history of this shoe and would only be buying it because it's hyped up or because they like the way it looks. And let's be honest, I don't think this colorway will be incredibly easy to rock because it really looks like you're wearing two completely different shoes on either foot. Because Jordan Brand decided to make the uppers of both of these shoes one solid color rather than alternating the colors on different panels of the shoe, it makes it much harder to rock in my opinion. I think if Jordan Brand had decided to make each one of these panels a different color or from a different shoe, I think it definitely would have made the shoe look a little bit crazier and a little bit more out there, but in a weird way, it would have made this pair more cohesive. As it stands right now, like I said, it looks like these two shoes are from two different pairs completely. It doesn't look like they're from the same set. And the only way that I would think that people know that these two shoes go together is because they know about this release. So while I love this release because it's a What the release, and I love all the different colorways used on the sneaker, I feel like it could have been done a little bit better. Oh yeah, and sort of on a side note, I'm a little concerned about the red suede rubbing off on the yellow nubuck because this red suede is so heavily dyed, I just don't see any way that you could wear this shoe and not get like red smears or red smudges all over the right side of this pair. I just don't see it happening. I think it's going to be a difficult pair to wear, not only because it's very bright and the shoes don't really match, but also because I think they're not going to look great after a couple wears. Maybe that's just me being paranoid. I really hope that's the case, but I have a bad feeling that the inside of this shoe is going to start looking really bad after a couple wears. Regardless of everything I just said though, I really do love this release. I'm really excited about this shoe, and I hope Jordan Brand does more of this in the future because this is the direction I think that would be really exciting for them to take. But now I would love to know your thoughts on the upcoming What the Air Jordan 5s and whether you plan to grab a pair of these for yourself or whether you're going to let this release go. So let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you all in the next one.